Imagine a man who lived on a beautiful island, rich in resources and beauty, all alone. This island, a paradise of sorts, offered everything he could ever desire. Lush forests teeming with fruits, clear streams filled with fish, and a climate so benevolent, he never had to worry about survival. He reveled in the luxury of this abundance, living a life that was the stuff of dreams. Yet, despite the island's generosity, the man gave nothing back. He took from the land without a second thought, consumed without restraint, and exploited without concern. The trees were stripped of their fruits, the streams were emptied of their fish, and the land was left scarred by his relentless pursuit of pleasure. Over time, the once vibrant island began to wither. The forest grew sparse, the streams ran dry, and the once bountiful land turned barren. All the beauty and life that once flourished had faded, replaced by a desolate landscape that mirrored the man's heart, empty and devoid of life. The man who had once reveled in the island's abundance now found himself alone and desperate. The fruits he had so greedily consumed were gone, the fish he had carelessly depleted were no more, and the land he had exploited was now incapable of sustaining him. His life of luxury had turned into a struggle for survival, and the paradise that once was now seemed like a distant memory. In his selfish pursuit of pleasure, he had not only destroyed the island's beauty, but also the very resources that sustained him. His actions, driven by self-interest and disregard for the world around him, had led to his own downfall. The island, once a paradise, was now a testament to the destructive power of selfishness. And so, the man found himself a prisoner of his own actions, trapped on a barren island that was a stark reminder of what selfishness can lead to. His selfish actions had not only destroyed the island's beauty, but also the very resources that sustained him. In the Islamic faith, selfishness is considered a negative trait that hinders spiritual growth. It's a belief rooted in the teachings of the Quran and the Hadiths, which consistently discourage selfishness, promoting instead a life of generosity, compassion, and selflessness. The Quran, Islam's holy book, is filled with verses encouraging believers to consider others' needs before their own. For instance, in Surah Al-Hashr it says, "And those who, before them, had homes and had adopted the faith, love those who emigrate to them, and have no jealousy in their breasts for that which they have been given, and give them preference over themselves, even though they were in need of that." This verse underscores the Islamic principle of ithar, or preferring others over oneself, a principle that's seen as a high form of generosity. Ithar is not just about sharing material possessions, but also about giving time, effort, and even emotional support to others, especially those in need. Then we have the Hadiths, the sayings and actions of the Prophet Muhammad, which offer further insights into the Islamic view on selfishness. The Prophet Muhammad is reported to have said, "None of you will believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself." This hadith illustrates the importance of empathy and sharing in the Islamic faith, teaching us that true belief comes from caring for others as much as we care for ourselves. There's another poignant hadith where the Prophet Muhammad says, "The best of people are those that bring most benefit to the rest of mankind." This hadith encourages us not only to avoid selfishness, but also to actively seek ways to benefit others, reiterating the importance of selflessness and community service in Islam. In summary, the Islamic faith places a strong emphasis on selflessness and giving, discouraging selfishness in all its forms. The teachings of the Quran and Hadiths serve as a guide for Muslims, encouraging them to live a life of generosity and empathy. The Islamic teachings encourage us to be selfless and considerate, reminding us that our actions affect not only us, but also those around us. In Islam, selfishness is not just a moral failing, it has spiritual consequences as well. One of the most profound teachings of Islam is the belief in the law of karma. Actions, whether good or bad, have consequences. This concept is not foreign to other faiths as well. In essence, it's the cosmic principle of cause and effect. You reap what you sow. When we act selfishly, we are sowing seeds of negativity that will eventually bear fruit in our lives. These consequences aren't always immediate, but rest assured, they will come. It could be a loss of peace of mind, strained relationships, or even obstacles in our paths. In the grander scheme of things, the consequences of selfishness extend beyond this life. Muslims believe in an afterlife, a hereafter, where we will be held accountable for our actions. Selfish actions in this world can lead to a difficult reckoning in the next. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned us about the perils of selfishness. He said, Beware of greed, for it was only greed that destroyed those before you. It commanded them to be miserly, and they did so. It commanded them to break the ties of kinship, and they did so. It commanded them to commit sins, and they did so. However, Islam doesn't just highlight the problem, it also provides a solution. One of the ways to counteract selfishness is through sadaqah, or voluntary charity. Sadaqah is not just about giving money, it's about sharing what you have, be it time, knowledge, or resources, with those who need it. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, is a form of sadaqah. It's a way to cleanse our hearts from the stain of selfishness. It's a way to balance the scales and create a positive ripple effect in our lives and in the lives of others. By being selfless and generous, we can create a positive ripple effect in our lives and in the lives of others. So, we've seen how selfishness can lead to negative outcomes and how Islam encourages us to be selfless. Let's take a moment to revisit some of the key points we've discussed today. We began by exploring the ripple effect of selfishness. How each self-centered action, no matter how seemingly insignificant, can trigger a wave of negative consequences. We delved into the heart of the matter, the selfish act, and how it not only affects the individual but also the community around them. It's a domino effect that can lead to a disconnect from others and a disconnection from our own true nature. Then we delved deeper into the Islamic perspective on selfishness, recalling how it emphasizes empathy, compassion, and selflessness. We remembered the hadiths and verses from the Quran that guide us towards a path of generosity, reminding us that it's not just about giving material possessions, but also about sharing our time, our skills, and our love with others. We also touched on the consequences of selfishness in Islam. We learned that each selfish act is not unnoticed. It can impact our relationships with others, our connection with God, and even the state of our own hearts. We were reminded that Islam teaches us to strive for balance, to give without expecting anything in return, and to consider the needs of others as if they were our own. Now it's time for each of us to reflect on our own actions. Consider ways we can be more selfless in our daily lives. It might be as simple as lending a listening ear to a friend in need, volunteering your time to a cause you believe in, or sharing a meal with someone who doesn't have one. Remember, the beauty of selflessness is that it's a journey, not a destination. It's about making small changes every day, about becoming a little better, a little more compassionate, a little more understanding. Remember, every act of kindness, no matter how small, can make a big difference. So, let's strive to be more selfless and create a positive ripple effect in our world.